Welcome to the Think Broad Podcast, Season 2, broadcasting right here from the Met Philly and the Grand Isle. Listen, make sure you please subscribe and comment. We love a community of informed and engaged people, so make sure you follow us. And with that, welcome to today's guest. Thank you so much for being here.
Wouldn't miss this for the world. Thanks for the invitation.
I'm so excited to have you here.
So many memories here at the space,
Yeah.
the Met Philadelphia.
Tell us who you are.
So I'm Michael Newmuis, 2026 director for Mayor Sherelle Parker in the city of Philadelphia. And that basically means that I've got the great privilege of helping Philadelphia prepare for the year 2026, a year in which the United States turns 250th.
Yeah.
And there will be no better place to celebrate than right here in the nation's birthplace.
Yeah, tell us how that's been so far. What's the role been like? Tell us more about what that entails.
So, the role's been really exciting. It really builds upon a lot of my background, whether it was from Visit Philly, where I served as chief of staff,
Yeah.
FS Investments, overseeing philanthropy and impact initiatives to the U.S.
Where did we initially meet? Was it Visit Philly?
We met during Visit Philly.
Visit Philly, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And actually, I remember speaking to you right here in January of 2019, 1 month after the Met opened. We had our glorious event downstage, and North Broad Renaissance
I
was just
remember that event.
booming.
That was a great event.
Yeah.
That was a
Good
great
memories.
event. Yep. Jeff was the CEO and president. Rest his soul.
Rest his soul.
It was a beautiful event. I remember that. Thank you for that. But I'm sorry, I digress. Finish.
So right now we are all in on making sure that we build upon this historic opportunity. Obviously, Philadelphia's got a lot of great events happening, but we want to make sure that we leverage all of these opportunities to help position the people of Philadelphia for greater success.
Yeah, and when you think about 2026 and everything that's taking place, and one thing that I was thinking about in my role on North Broad, and as we try to activate the corridor, and having a real honest conversation with myself to connect with the community, is if I wasn't in this space of community development, if I wasn't in this space of tourism and foot traffic and businesses and supporting businesses, if I was just like not in this space, why would I care about 2026? How would you answer that too? And I'll tell you how I answered it, but how would you answer it?
I would say this: no matter what space in life you're in, it's the people who show up to a table that get to inform the conversation. And as the United States of America turns the corner on 250 years, it's an opportunity, right? An opportunity to lean in. One, to recognize, especially in Philadelphia, where we know that 1776 was just the beginning in the fight for a more perfect union. It's an opportunity to lean in and recognize those incredible voices who got us where we are, but then also to remind ourselves that we each have a role in co-creating the next 250 years.
Yeah, and that we're in a space where we can. And for me, as I thought about this, and I was thinking like, all right, we're celebrating something that meant something very different for African Americans, right? 250 years ago. It was a very different type of environment. How can we on North Broad make sure that we recognize that in the most sensitive way possible? And celebrate where we are today, and stand on, and for lack of a better word, stand on where we are today. And how can we make sure, as we're thinking through Summer Abroad and we're thinking through the activations that we're doing in 2026, how are we making sure we kind of claim that and celebrate that in a way that's amazing, that we've come, this is where we are, right? Like we've come through that and we're in a better place than we were in 250 years ago, and to kind of celebrate that.
I think your question kind of answers it. Recognizing where we were, where we are, and not taking any moment for granted.
Yeah.
When President Lincoln first issued the Emancipation Proclamation, my fourth great grandmother, Josephine Grisham, was just 3 years old. And holding her mother, Nancy's hand, together they walked 21 miles across South Carolina in search of freedom. It's incredible to think now, Josephine and having only 40 cents to her name when she married her husband, and together they built this incredible legacy of doctors and artists and and me. And now, fast forward to the moment where a descendant of someone whose mother was born into slavery is here in Philadelphia helping to plan the nation's 250th birthday right here in the birthplace. In a city where we had Octavius Catto, right, fight and die for rights of African Americans to vote, where we had the Stonewall movement for LGBT individuals, where the women's suffrage movement expanded the definition of democracy to include a new gender, right? There's so much history that's happened, not just in Philadelphia, but in the country. And Philadelphia really needs to take ownership and has always taken ownership of that. You know, some of the things that you're going to see as you look down North Broad are brand new sculptures, right? We've had, for the first time ever in Mayor Parker, we're going to debut not one, not two, but 3 sculptures celebrating Black women leaders for the first time in our city's history, right?
Wow.
We're going to have, and if you look across the incredible budget, Mayor Parker's invested now over $120 million to make sure that this celebration shines. But we're amplifying the voices of indigenous populations. We are amplifying, making sure that across Philadelphia, including North Broad, that we've got this geographic lens, because our charge, to be very clear, is to spread the spirit of celebration across Philadelphia and make sure that every single neighborhood can see, touch, and feel it. And you're going to see that come alive on North Broad as well.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that it's going to come alive across the city. I definitely believe it's coming alive on North Broad, of course.
Especially with your leadership.
Thank you. I love the encouragement, and I truly appreciate it. I want to talk a little bit more about that history you just shared, because how did that shape how you move forward in this space? Like, you thought about that. You thought about, like, wow, a descendant of a slave now gets to be a part of shaping a celebration that we weren't. Like, how does that motivate you and encourage you and definitely humble you a little bit, right?
It gives you a lot of humility and a lot of gratitude. You know, so often when I'm traveling in this role, I get this one question: is how do you inspire a spirit of celebration at a time when the country can feel like there's some division? And we can't lose sight of that reality, but we also can't let it give us a reason to not recognize and come together around that which unites us. And that's precisely what Philadelphia's slate of offerings do. You know, we talk about global events, right? We got the FIFA World Cup, the MLB All-Star Game, NCAA March Madness. But for anyone that experienced the Super Bowl parade for the Philadelphia Eagles championship, you know that sports are so much more than just the goal. It's about bringing people a little bit closer together. And across the slate of offerings and the incredible year-long calendar of events that will take place, including activations along North Broad, that's precisely what we're aiming to do. Bring people a little bit closer together, bring people a little bit closer to recognizing that we've got more that unites us than divides us, and, you know, create some fun and celebration along the way, and also, importantly, drive some economic impact to our neighborhoods.
That's right. And we'll definitely get into the conversation of economic impact. And I'll tell you the stance that we're kind of taking on North Broad. Like, we recognize, like, we got the FIFA World Cup coming, and we recognize that opportunity, and we recognize that MLB. We recognize that it's going to be conference. We got that, but we also recognize that we got, and I don't curse, but MFN Philly. Like, it's Philly is here. Like, we are here, and we deserve to celebrate, just like, and to be recognized as a force of celebration as much as FIFA, as much as MLB, you know, because it's community. Like, our communities matter, and we're here. And we're here to celebrate, and we're here to think about what economic impact means, and we're here to think about what the next 250 years will mean.
Exactly.
And thinking through that, what should we be thinking about from an economic impact and long-term economic impact?
So here's what we've done to kind of flip the script on what a celebration can mean and how we can drive that economic impact. You know, unlike some celebrations in the past where you have to go downtown to experience that magic, we are intentionally spreading it out across Philadelphia, including North Broad. We are going across not one, not two, but 20 commercial corridors throughout every council district. That's 2 per council district. And making transformative investments where you can see, touch, and feel.
And that's intentional.
It's very intentional. Working with each council district office to select them, working with the bids and the community partners to understand, one, do you want tourism? Are you ready for what that entails? And are you able to, you know, bring together some of the partners in your community where we can make strategic investments, because if you build it, they don't always just come.
Yeah,
That's why
yeah.
we're also activating the spaces
Yeah.
with glorious
Yep.
celebrations.
Yep.
So whether you are a kid in Kensington or someone on North Broad, we want to make sure that you can have your own glorious feeling of the World Cup without needing to actually have a ticket to that game.
Yeah.
And that's what you're going to see across that $30 million in grants that we've doled out to make
Yeah.
sure that we capitalize on this moment.
Was that based on a lesson learned from previous celebrations? And I'll share why I asked this question, because I remember when this was first announced, and I was asking my husband, I said, do you remember the last celebration? Like, I forget what it was called. I was asking him, like, you remember? He's like, yeah, I remember. I was a little
Bicentennial.
kid. Was it the Bicentennial? He's like, yeah, I was a little kid. He's from West Philly. And he said he remembers it was fun. He remembers going to Center City, to your point. He lived in West Philly. They went to Center City. They had like free ice cream. It was the best time. He said he really liked it. And I said, well, what happened when you went back to your neighborhood? He was like, the neighborhood was the same. Like there was nothing going on in the neighborhood. And I said, well, what happened afterwards? Like, did your neighborhood like change a little bit? He was like, no, the neighborhood was still the same, but everything was going on in Center City. And I feel like this is different. Like, the celebrations are coming into the neighborhoods now. So was that decision, that very intentional decision that we just talked about, was that based on like a lesson learned?
You know, Nina Simone has a beautiful quote where she says, and how appropriate since we're in the Met, the role of an artist is to address the times that we're in. And I think the times that we're in demand an opportunity to cultivate greater civic pride and co-ownership of your community and your future. I mean, no one's been a better cheerleader and captain of getting folks to own the environment that they live in than you have been, right?
Thank you.
We're driving the spirit of celebration to residents so they can also see, touch, and feel it, but also so that they can come together as a community a little bit closer, lean in, and also recognize the important power that they have in shaping the future of democracy.
Yeah. And how do we make sure that what does that look like in action? Like, how do we make sure it's not just a good soundbite or a good headline? Like, we can look back in 2027 and say, look, this is the impact that we had. This is how we help communities.
I'll give you one very clear example.
Okay.
Because there's so many. But one is, let's just think about our youth more globally, right? Across Philadelphia. I've talked with so many youth who feel like right now, you know, that their voices aren't quite heard, or that they're not quite as seen, or that they don't have as much agency in shaping the future. So we're going to flip the script. We're working with Mont Brown, Columbia Artist Record, Mont Brown, Philadelphia Key the City winner. And we're going to create a platform, which we're going to be announcing, where we are literally giving youth a platform to be seen, to be heard, to sing that John, and to make sure that their voice is heard in a way, and then pairing them with opportunities to cultivate those skills into tangible workforce and other opportunities.
Yeah.
So we're kind of blending together both the investments we're making in events and a strategic way to make sure that those investments help position people and create opportunities so that we're better off economically and civically for the future.
Yeah, and what I hear too is exposure.
Exposure is life.
You're giving youth and young people exposure to something, to the possibility. So talk more about that.
Exposure is so key. You know, if anyone's followed Mayor Parker at all, it's all about how do we connect people with jobs? How do we create economic opportunities for all? And that's a theme that you're going to see. Everything that we're doing in 2026 is not being done in a silo. It's part of the larger agenda of making Philadelphia more beautiful, more clean, more green, and creating those economic opportunities.
How can we talked about this a little bit, and it's such a sensitive topic, but how can cities acknowledge the full truth of the histories and still progress forward and still recognize that there's a community that's still impacted by the systemic things that happened 250 years ago today that's still being impacted. How do we recognize that in this space?
I think the key to recognizing the reality is by making sure that what we're doing isn't just being built from the top down, but from the bottom up.
Yeah.
Because that inherently recognizes that everyone experiences life and history differently, that different communities have experienced it differently, that it's impacted people differently. And that's why we've been really intentional about making sure that this table, this celebration, there's room for everyone at it.
Yeah.
And we've been intentional about bringing different communities. Over 60 different partners alone are reflected in some of the grants.
Yeah.
And if you look across there, you'll see such a diverse array of voices and groups and geographies that are all a part of that. Because in bringing folks together from that really intentional way, we're all co-creating this, right? Co-creating and bringing forth the stories and narratives that we're honoring, while also having a lens to what can we build together for the future.
Yeah. And I also think that there's an opportunity because let's be honest, like when we think about community engagement, it's important to have people at the table, but it's also important to recognize that some people are not going to be at that table, but they're still a part of the community. Some people don't have time to come to this table, but they're still a part of the community. Some people are dealing with their own things, but they're still a part of the community. And it's so important to be embedded on the streets, on the ground, to see what needs to be done and not wait to hear back from people to do it, right?
Yeah.
Like, yes, we took a survey and we heard that people wanted cleaner streets, but we really need a survey to do that, right? Like, the street is dirty, clean it. You know what I mean? And I remember this one community member held me to that standard. We were out doing a survey, getting feedback, and we talked to this gentleman. He was on his porch. We wanted to get his feedback. And he said, "You don't need me to answer. Look around.
Yeah.
I don't need to take another survey. Look around." And sometimes that's what it takes.
We hold these truths
right.
to be self-evident.
Like, look around and see what we need and just do it. Like, stop waiting for us to take a survey, or just do what's right. Just do what's right. And I think that's something that we can think about as we go into 2026. Like, what does doing what's right look like?
Yeah, I think that's why we've been really intentional about investing in credible messengers like North Broad Renaissance, right? You're on the ground, you see what's happening, you know the community because you're a member of this community. So it's not so much someone from an ivory tower coming down and making these. It's about identifying who are the credible messengers, who's actually doing the work day to day, talking with the communities, and how do we ensure that they're resource empowered? Because leadership is not so much about control, but about setting an overarching vision, right? And the 250th birthday is perhaps the greatest opportunity we'll ever have to set a bold new narrative of unity, bring people together, but also, to your point, making the strategic investments to position us for greater success. And then empowering the credible messengers, empowering the community leaders to help execute that vision how they see it, right? Whatever you see on that ground that needs to be done, how can we help support that? Sometimes it's providing a check. Sometimes it's removing a barrier to get that work done. And sometimes it's bringing a few more folks around the table so that you got an army behind you to know that you are supported. And that's kind of what we're seeing play out for the 250th.
And you've done an amazing job with that in this space. And that's what I see, and that's what I appreciate so much. Because you didn't say, well, this is what your community needs, and this is the idea that we have, and we want to do this. You said, Shalimar, what's North Broad doing? And when we told you, you didn't say, no, change this. You was like, okay, how do we support that? You know, and you do it. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
That.
And we're doing that throughout Philadelphia of not being prescriptive, but being supportive.
What's one thing that if we look back in 2027 and we look back at 2026 and you said, if we don't do this, we missed our mark, what's that one thing?
I think the measure of success will be if someday there's two other folks sitting where we are today, looking back and saying that, you know what, Philadelphia is better off because of the strategic investments we made, but also the story of the group of people who took this impossible goal and delivered and met expectations of how do we come together in a meaningful way and actually roll up our sleeves and deliver something when we're never going to get this opportunity again in the future.
And you can see the benefits of that from those two people sitting there having that conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the goal, right? How do we make sure that the future generations can benefit? How do we make sure the people who are here right now feel franchised and have agency in the moment that we're in?
Yeah.
And how do we recognize the historical importance that Philadelphia serves? We are the city of first.
Yeah.
We are the city that has always upheld putting we the people as the power, and we are going to lean into that and recognizing that. Because we can't control everything that's happening in the world, but we can ensure that the people of Philadelphia know what power we have within.
I love that. Thank you so much. I have one last question.
Of course.
And I want to ask you, what does hashtag Think Broad means to you?
Think broad means looking beyond what's right in front of you and thinking how we can achieve something even greater collectively. And that's why we're always so excited to see everything that's coming out of your shop. Because you have redefined Think Broad for countless communities right here on North Broad and inspired other districts in Philadelphia to emulate that model. So really, thank you for your leadership.
Likewise, and like I said, you're doing a fantastic job in this space, and I hope you're encouraged, and I hope that you're ready to take on everything that's fantastic in 2026, because it is going to be fantastic.
It will be.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.